Let's get into our final section, elevating your service. And here we're going to talk about how scaling and selling service activities of your player development team, it really does matter. And my first question is going to go to Nick here. Lots of properties, they use events as a way to bring in players. So tickets and comp tickets, they become this really important and a very effective tool for hosts to drive trips. But there's an opportunity cost if the player doesn't show up, because that same ticket could have been given to someone else who would have shown up, and they might have spent significantly on in gaming. So Nick, how have you been able to cut down on the no-shows for your events?
Yeah, it's a good question. So that actually used to be such an ordeal. It was a big problem every time. I remember, I think the worst ones we had, I think it was like 60 no-shows, which was, I mean, and as far as the hotel, like 45 of them had rooms. So it was like, it was a big, that was a big hard hit. So what we had done is through True, you can schedule text blasts. So you go through to everyone who had, and you can also assign comp tickets. Awesome. Anyway, so you go through, you have your ticket set up, everyone who's coming who has a room and tickets, and you make a separate campaign that's just basically, it knows, you know, the computer knows, okay, this person has tickets, this person has tickets in a room. And then you set up this text blast ahead of time that'll go like the month of, you know, the month before it'll happen, like, hey, you know, just a reminder, you got this thing coming up, you know, don't miss out on Elvis. And then a week before the next blast is scheduled, and that's the one where we'll say, hey, there's a big wait list for this one, so if you can't make it, definitely give us a call, let us know. And then there's the one that's scheduled for the day of. So basically, ahead of time, I'll set the thing up and just leave it. And then it's just up to the host to just receive the messages coming back, oh, I have to cancel last minute. At that point, we always make sure we have plenty of people on the wait list. And then we have the people that are here day of who just didn't know about it but kind of want to go, and we'll tell them, you know, hey, more than likely I might be able to score you some tickets. And our no-shows went from these like 50 to 15. So and those 15, I'll still be able to get rid of the tickets and the rooms, just because you know, we can identify it soon enough. Like we get to the point where it's like an hour before the show, hey, you haven't picked up your ticket, are you going to be here? And it's like, oh no, sorry, I forgot. It's like, yeah. Okay, no, you didn't, but okay. So, but yeah, our huge cutoff for no-shows, that was like such an ordeal when I came, and it was, now it's not really an issue anymore. The hotel likes it a lot. We don't have empty rooms.
Yeah, this is actually, it's a really great way to think about how you can actually yield on to the actual day itself. So you're yielding tickets. So as people are falling off, you're finding other people to take the spot.
Yeah, absolutely.
Craig, you did a survey last year that unearthed some interesting insights. How about you share some of those insights with us?
Yeah. So let's go to the next slide. So I'm gonna pull out the football analogy again, and we're talking about outbound sales being your offense, and that's scoring points. And the way that you derail a offense is with turnovers. That's the way an offense can shoot themselves in the foot. And so one of the things that can be a risk if you don't have the right platform is you're reaching out, you're communicating with all these players, you're inviting them in. The players may respond, but if it's after hours, or if the host is on the weekend, or they're out sick, or they're on vacation, they're not responding to the player, and that is a huge dissatisfier. And we actually went, as part of the survey we referenced earlier, we asked these VIP players, what is the biggest pet peeve? What sets you off? What behavior of a host just ticks you off? And the overwhelming biggest dissatisfier is hosts that are slow to respond or non-responsive. And I mean, it's worse than a turnover. It's more of like a pick six, because you're literally giving trips to your competition, because your host, if you've done the work of like getting them in the mindset, you know what, I want to gamble this weekend, that sounds fun, and they text back, okay, I'm ready for the suite, book me, and they don't hear anything, they made up their mind they're going to go play. And if you don't get back to them quickly, they're going to just go to your competitor and be like, hey, I was thinking I'd come in. And if they're responding, they're going to get that trip instead of you, even though you planted the seed and got them in the mood to play that weekend. So let's go to the next slide.
Well, on that note too, as a manager of salespeople or hosts, I can get an email every day telling me which communication they haven't responded to, and then I can go bug them and make sure they do respond. And I never would have known previously.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Lindsay. You're 100% right. That is the thing that, like, when I put in the chat, if this has happened to you, because I bet it hasn't, when a host is gone for a couple days or a week, how often do they come back like, hey, I just want to let you know, I had about 20, 25 players texted me, but I was busy, I didn't reply. And I did the math, and I think we probably lost about 50,000 in Theo while I was gone. So sorry about that, boss. Like, they don't, it's a blind spot where you have, as a casino, you have zero visibility into the conversations that your hosts are having with their players and how quickly they're responding. So there's a lot of, by having the communication happen through a host's iPhone or their Android phone instead of a centralized platform, there's quite a few risks. Okay, so one is that response time breakdown where players are texting and they're not getting responded to. Second is off-brand, unprofessional messaging, because again, you don't know what they're sending and what kind of issues that can raise. Next is the comp offer issues. That's that he said, she said that Nick brought up with the midget wrestling ticket breakdown, where if somebody they're approaching a pit boss saying I need this, and if there's no way to get a hold of the host, no way to see the conversation, then what do? They're in a tough spot, and the player's either going to walk away pissed off because the host actually did say it, or your casino's investing more than they should have. Activity accountability, that's just making sure, do you have a way to see that your hosts are actually making the outbound calls instead of just logging like, yes, I did that. And then employee turnover, and this is a big one because it kind of cuts two ways. So if a host that has a book of 300, 500 players, they leave, they go to a competitor, and all of a sudden another host is taken over, are they starting from scratch? Like, because if all the communication isn't going through a centralized platform, they don't know where to pick up. So one, they may miss out on a lot of things that are preferences the player likes or trips that the other host is working on. And then two, you're asking the player to all of a sudden get trained on a new host's phone number. You need the host to text, hey, this is here's my new number, text me, Bill's gone. So that can be a clunky and costly process without a centralized platform. Now, conversely, if you do switch to a centralized communication platform like Trio360, you're offering your players 24/7, 365 customer support, and you're not asking your host to always be on. I remember Nick, you gave a testimonial about how your wife wanted to bake us a cake because you actually had a day off where you could like focus and not have to keep looking at your phone.
Yeah, and I tell you what, man to man, you do not want that cake.
I hope she's not watching.
We actually, I did the math one time to figure out an average of how many conversations I have, not individual text, conversations I have over a 3-day weekend, and it was about 50. And the first week we added Trio360, my first weekend, I didn't get a single call, and it was alarming. Thinking, something's gone wrong. And then every once in a while, I text work and be like, hey, how's things going? Like, great, good. I'm like, you sure? Yeah. I'm like, okay, because Sherry didn't text me, and Sherry texts me all day, every day, 24/7. It's like, no, we got her. She's sending pictures of her new puppies right now. I'm like, okay, cool. So, yeah, it's Trio360 is absolutely my wife's favorite thing in the world. But under no circumstances should you eat any cake she makes.
Noted.
It doesn't know the difference between baking pepper and baking soda, or teaspoons or tablespoons. So.
Well, and I think everybody can see the bullet points here. But one thing just to like drill in on the team support, right? Like what we're talking about, a host has a couple days off, and the players texting in to get something done, and another host is responding. I can promise you, after rolling Trio out to several properties, players don't care. They want their room booked, and honestly, they are happy that they're not bugging their host on the day off, like because they want their host to enjoy their time off. They want them to have lives as well. So trust me, your players are not going to be upset if all of a sudden on a host day off, somebody else is replying, as long as they're getting the work done.